What's in a question? A smart and sharp question should strike up a more engaging conversation. So let's have ourselves a little discussion on lunchflation. Anyone? Good morning, Diane.
Good morning. Happy hump day.
Oh, it is a hump day, isn't it?
Yes.
Barely getting over the hump or already over it?
Already over it.
Already over it.
Yes.
We're halfway through the program.
Yes,
it seems
yes.
like it's the end of the day for us.
Right. After the show, the day has ended.
That's really not how her story goes, but yeah, I'll level with you. Okay, Diane. So for this hump day, what is our question of the day?
Question. Are you suffering from lunchflation? Now,
Apparently a lot of our listeners are.
right. Now, this is an easy newly coined term. As you can see, it's a mix of lunch and inflation. We talk about inflation a lot, but it's hard to feel it on our skin. But we are hit hard whenever we're trying to dine out. Hence the lunchflation or even dinnerflation.
I don't know. With lunchflation, I steer clear of dinners.
Right. So coffee runs and long lunches with colleagues are one of the perks of returning to office these days, but they come at a higher price.
Honestly, one of the broadcasting stations I work for, they hiked up the lunch price from like 4,500 won to 5,000 won. And I know people might be thinking, that's not that expensive. That's
Right.
less than a $5 lunch. But no, it's about how much that they raised.
Right.
I think it was a big point of contention.
Of course.
So I had all these little lunch coupons, right, worth 4,500 won. I have to buy a 500 won coupon to make up for it
Oh
now.
my God, that's insane.
It's just obnoxious more than anything else.
Right.
And not so gentle reminder, oh, it's more expensive now.
Right.
All right. So according to Statistics Korea, the cost of dining out really did go up. So it's not just in our heads.
Right. So according to the agency, the price index for eating out in May jumped 7.4% from the previous year. So apparently this is the highest increase rate in 24 years and 2 months since March 1998, when the index peaked at 7.6%.
So, okay, this is why we're really feeling the burn
Right.
because over 2 decades, we haven't seen this big of a jump. They showed which menus prices went up the most as well.
So 갈비탕, it's like a beef stew, showed the highest increase with about 12% hike, followed by chicken with about 11% jump.
fried chicken?
Yeah, the fried chicken. Similar to sashimi and jjajangmyeon, showing double-digit increase as well. Speaking of 갈비탕, I had it for lunch yesterday
I saw.
at one of the oldest and most famous place for the dish. And guess how much the price was for 2 people on the bill?
I mean, this place was already pricey, right?
Right.
For 2 people. So maybe like 40,000 won?
40,000 won,
Yeah.
but it was actually 58,000 won, which is about $55. So for one bowl of 갈비탕, it's 29,000 won or $27. So it's really pricey.
This is like the Las Vegas price. You know about this, right? Like, so Korean food on the strip on Las Vegas is unaffordable because just getting ingredients there is just a
Right.
headache. That's how much it is there, not here. This is so massively expensive.
Right. So apparently 갈비탕 saw the biggest hike. And also, according to the Korea Consumer Agency, it costs an average of about 8,000 won to have kalguksu or noodle soup in Seoul, compared to about 6,700 won back in 2018. So about $6 to around $8.
Yeah.
In the case of bibimbap, the average price rose about 9,400 won from 8,800 during the same period. So even with the 10,000 won bill,
Yeah.
there's so much you can choose from to eat out nowadays. So little you can choose from.
I'm wondering, will there come a day where I pay 10,000 won for my coffee? I can see it already.
Right.
Now, there was a survey showing that workers do feel the burden of eating out for lunch. I mean, it's sometimes you just want to treat yourself and your coworkers. And
Right.
if it's really, I don't know, 29,000 won or $27
Right.
per bowl of 갈비탕, I don't
Right.
know what I can treat my coworkers to anymore.
Right. I mean, it just shows on the bill.
Yeah.
According to a survey of over 1,000 office workers by a job search portal called Incruit in South Korea, about 60% responded that they feel an extreme burden to eat lunch out, while less than 40% feel a little burden. And only 0.2% responded that they don't feel a burden at all.
Lucky you, 0.2%.
0.2%.
So
like, lucky
minimal.
you guys. Right. So everyone's feeling it, the burden, the growing lunchflation. And one of the reasons why office workers feel the burden is because the cost of living is rising in general.
Okay.
Not only for food, but also for oil, clothing, and childcare, while their, salary stays the same.
everything but my salary is going up. Is that true elsewhere? That's sort of become our like fight song during this pandemic. The price hike is now making the employees turn to convenience store lunch boxes, which frankly is delicious and considered to be more affordable.
Right.
But is it the healthiest option out there? Questionable. Yeah.
Right. So due to this situation, some office workers are looking for cheap lunch boxes instead of going to the restaurants. In fact, the growth rate of lunchbox sales at convenience stores, GS25 last month, increased about 50% compared to the same period last year. CU rose by about 41% and 7-Eleven by 20%.
Okay, so all a little bit more expensive.
Right.
However, one of the biggest problems of rising lunch prices, our salary, again, is staying the same while everything else is just going up at a much faster rate than we can keep up with.
Yeah, so wage increases have not kept pace with inflation. According to the Ministry of Employment and Labor and Statistics Korea, the total average monthly wage per worker from January to March this year increased 7.2% from a year ago. But the real wage, which reflects the price level, increased only 3.2%. So seeing that the price hike for food is above 7%, a real wage hike of only about 3% is comparatively really low.
Okay, so I was asking our listeners, packing your own lunch.
Right.
Is that something we should be doing? And
Yeah.
they asked me, do I pack my own lunch? Did we not clarify that we wake up at 4:30 in the morning?
Right, guys, we don't.
No.
We're busy preparing the coffee.
Yes, and when I leave coffee at home, it's devastating.
Right.
And I'm so forgetful that I leave just one bottle of coffee.
Yeah.
So no, I don't pack my own lunch, and nor does Diane.
It's really difficult.
All right, would cooking at home though decrease the burden just a little bit? I mean, we talked about just ingredient prices going up too.
Right. So I don't believe that cooking at home will decrease the burden, as the price of international raw materials such as grain rose.
Sure.
The price of processed food also rose the most in 10 years and 4 months.
Okay.
According to Statistics Korea, the processed food index last month was 109.19 up, which was up 7.6% from a year ago, which is the highest growth rate since January 2012.
Okay.
So of the 73 processed food items, 69 items increased in price. To organize by items, noodles jumped the highest by about 33%, wheat flour by 26%, and cooking oil by about 23%. So because the price of processed food increased as well, I don't believe eating at home would decrease the burden by a great degree. I mean, Yang Gurum also chimed in, and he or she said workers don't usually have time to prepare their meal as well. So it's like we don't have time or money to prepare our meal.
Oh, I'm so sad. You don't have time or money, Lena. Everything is against you. Yeah. That's all I heard.
Yeah, right now it seems.
One of our listeners asked, do you have an Ariran cafeteria like in the TV dramas? Yes, we do.
Oh,
but
I didn't know.
We do, Diane, in case you didn't know. It serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, I didn't know.
It's relatively
Have you tried
affordable,
that?
of course. And then I got sick and tired of it.
Oh,
so
okay.
sometimes I go, sometimes I don't. I mean,
Is it
these-
affordable?
Yes, relatively speaking.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the last time I went, so I'll have to double check if the
Okay.
prices have been hiked there. The thing is, like, we heard about milk prices, corn prices, oil prices, grain prices all going up. And
Right.
initially I thought, okay, I'll eat less grain, I'll eat
Right.
less milk, but that's not the point.
More
Because
veggie?
No, because you know what? Veggie prices are also up. And also, you know what eats milk, corn, and other types of grains? Chicken. So
Right.
in order to produce affordable poultry, their feed needs to be affordable, which
Right.
just brings us to my chicken dilemma.
So everything's going up.
Yeah.
Like it's in one chain.
Exactly.
Right.
One big chain.
Right.
Now, this price hike is absolutely not just limited to South Korea. In fact, one of our listeners from the Philippines, Benny, said it's because here in the Philippines, inflation rates rises last month, this month, even food ingredients for our famous dishes and fast food chains all went up. Lunchflation is probably real for me despite me not being back at work again. So when
Right.
Benny returns to work, this awaits him too.
It's going to hit him hard.
Okay, so clearly not unique to just South
Right.
Korea, right?
So this is a global phenomenon that a lot of countries are experiencing right now. The U.S. Labor Department reported earlier this month that the index for food away from home increased 7.2% over the last year. So a little bit similar to South Korea. Food prices were up 9.4% in April from the same time last year, which was the biggest jump since April 1981. And grocery store prices increased as well by about 11% for the year. So same in the US, like if you cook at home, it's still the same. It's still pricey. Right.
But to be fair, I do feel like meat prices in general is slightly lower than the average in South Korea, right? But anyway, regardless, it's all going up.
Right. Office workers are seeing higher costs for everything from their morning coffee to their lunchtime salad. For example, Starbucks raised prices in the US earlier this year and in October 2021 and said prices could continue to rise. So not good for you, Lena, when you go back to the States.
Honestly, I was going to say, because I do think a lot of these franchise coffee shops do come under scrutiny for pricing their coffees too high in the first place. It's like exactly what are you selling? Water and ground coffee beans, right? But anyway, apparently in order to for even massive franchise like Starbucks to stay afloat, they have to hike up prices.
Yeah, it's going up. Also, a popular salad maker, Sweet Green, raised its prices back in January by 6%, while sandwich restaurant Potbelly raised its prices in February by 5.4%. So everyone's hiking up their prices.
Did we just talk about people traveling more this summer?
Right. I mean, that's
Should
why.
we not be traveling more this summer?
I mean, that's why people feel more burdened to travel abroad because now we can travel abroad, right? But then the price is hindering.
Everything is expensive.
Going abroad.
Okay,
Right.
let's say you got past the unaffordable ticket prices for airplanes,
Which is crazy.
which is already so high.
Right.
And then you get there, it's about lodging. Was it Erica who said that her friend was trying to travel to Hawaii with unaffordable, unavailable hotels?
Yeah.
And then comes the food prices.
You have to eat, right?
It's like a triple whammy. or I could just go on and an intentional diet on my vacation.
What? For the entire vacation? That's crazy.
Wouldn't that be so sad, you guys?
It's
Why do we
really
travel
sad.
anyway?
I mean, travel, one of the greatest perks of traveling is trying out their food.
Of course you would say this.
Right?
Go on.
Of
Desserts
course.
or food?
Both. Especially desserts, especially ice cream. But if with the raised price, it's going to be difficult, like even traveling.
We want immersive cultures, and that's why we travel.
Right.
Food is unaffordable. It makes it a little bit more tricky. Now, the problem is that the price hike seems like it will stay with us for the time being. It's not just a peak that we've hit. We don't know how high it's going to really go.
Yeah, I think it's going to stay with us for a little longer. Currently, prices of key commodities are going up because of the supply chain shortages that plagued every country's economy. Major droughts in countries like Brazil and Argentina also hiked the prices of corn, coffee, and soybeans. Economic experts and reporters are saying that even when inflation cools off, a sticker from form of inflation could persist. So even if it goes away, it's going to linger a little bit.
Okay.
Recent world events have not made inflation worries any better. Russia's invasion of Ukraine hit food and energy prices further as global chains were impacted by foreign sanctions.
We didn't even get to climate change. That's one of the other, I guess, the biggest factors because it's not as if we have a quick and easy solution to that. On top of these geopolitical issues, already declining growth rate, pandemic, it's really does seem like the odds are stacked up against us. So I guess it's time to spend less. But isn't that how we perk up the economy? Why do I keep hitting
my bad? And currently, because speaking of climate change, South Korea Daegu region is famous for apples.
Yes.
But right now, because of the raised climate and temperature, they can no longer produce as much because it got way hotter. So they have to relocate places to plant apples. So climate change is going to hit us hard.
And it's really not that easy. It's not like you can just take an apple tree, plant it anywhere in a cooler region and call it a day. You have to look for right climate, right soil. And it usually takes decades for these farmers to perfect it.
Right. I mean, that leads to increased price for apples as well.
So everything's expensive.
Right.
Are blueberries affordable? No, nothing is affordable.
Nothing really.
I'm telling you, are we all supposed to be on some sort of fast? Is that the way to go about it? I don't know, but we got the questions started and the Pandora's box has opened.
Right, so lunchflation does hit us.
How do I put it back in the box?
I have no idea.
Thanks, Diane. I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow.
We have our People segment coming up with Diane coming up next.